Hey everyone, we wish we could be there with Brady sharing with you guys today, but I got a new job and there's mandatory training that starts tomorrow, so fortunately we can't be there. I wish we could, but we still like to share a little bit with you about how our summer went, along with the video that you just watched. So yeah, first we're just going to talk about how VBS in Alaska was drastically different than VBS would be here in the lower 48. So
Yeah. So VBS here, I've done for many years and very used to it. Kids come when they're supposed to, their parents drop them off and say goodbye, and then at the end the parents come and pick them up. But in Alaska, it's such a small village that the kids kind of just come and go when they please. One time we were in Ekwok, and one of the girls showed up to VBS like 2 hours early, and she's like, bet no one's ever come to VBS this early before. And we're like, no, Marcy, they haven't. This is really early. And she ended up going to the place where we get water in the morning. That was the week we stayed at the church and had to go get our own water. And she went with us, and Buck, the man who helped us out a lot that week, he was the one who gave us a lot of suppers and stuff. It was super nice. He stops by on his Honda, sees Marcy, and says, Marcy, the whole village is looking for you. So we figured out that if a kid shows up to VBS several hours early, make sure that their parents know where they are.
especially if they're younger.
Yeah.
So,
But we didn't interact with parents as much as you would at a VBS here because, Mom, now you messed me
no,
up.
just keep talking.
I lost my train of thought because I read the paper. We didn't interact with parents as much as you would with a VBS here because the parents don't always come to pick up or drop off their kids. We did interact with some of the adults. In Igiyagig, we went to the beach after VBS one day to visit the kids, and there were a lot of parents there having a campfire, and we got to talk to them and saw them quite a bit throughout the week. And after going to that beach the first day, we got 5 more kids to come to VBS, so that was really cool. Like I said, they usually got around in Hondas. There weren't very many vehicles there.
Honda as in four-wheeler.
Yeah.
No
they
matter
just call them
what,
Hondas.
yeah, they're all Hondas, even if it's not a Honda.
Yeah.
They just called it that.
And you would see like 7-year-old kids riding on Hondas. Like one of them gave Kyle a ride, or they would give their siblings rides. Sometimes their parents would drive with 6 kids on the Honda. And they were always super, super gracious to us and would offer us rides if we needed them, asking if we needed anything, which has actually been a change from when VBS first started in Alaska. The VBS teens didn't always feel very welcome. Now, when we get there, they all know that we're coming, the 4 young white people coming to VBS and teach VBS, but they respect us now. They know what we're there for, and they really appreciate what we do.
Yeah. What we've been kind of told by the missionaries in Naknak is that people in the villages, they're looking for change, a lot of them, because they're getting kind of tired of going through, a cycle with, not for all of them, but for a lot of people, a problem with alcohol and other things like that, and they just want change, and they are intrigued by what we have, which is Jesus. And so I guess some other differences about doing VBS in Alaska, the last 2 weeks, the berries were ripe. So for rec time, we would just go outside and we would pick berries instead of playing games. And we would try to play games with them.
Like, all right, let's go outside, everybody. They all go to the berries.
Yeah, we couldn't, we could never get more than half of the kids because the other half would be out picking berries, which was fine. We enjoyed picking berries.
So sometimes
too.
you just be like, all right, rec time, everyone pick berries.
Yep.
Give them all cups for them to collect them because they were just right on the tundra, right outside the church.
Yep. So they're everywhere. They would just eat them right away.
Another thing that was a little different was the age range. We didn't really have an age limit. The youngest we got was 2, and she had an aunt that came with her and helped her out. And then the oldest we had was 16. So it was a very wide range, and it was also different each village by the size. Like the first village we went to had 29 kids, which we weren't expecting.
It's crazy.
And then one village we went to, we would only have 3 to 5. So it was very different. You got to know those small groups very well, which was super fun. And it was also super fun to have the large, crazy groups running around and having fun with.
Yeah, so every single week was so different. Like, I mean, even apart from just there being 29 kids or 3 kids, like, it was crazy to me how, I guess, just the different culture and vibe that we got from each village. But we always had to be ready for whatever happens, and God helped us to do that. So there's a cool story from the second village we were in, Ekwok. There was a boy there, an older boy, 6th grade. He was kind of thought he was too cool for what we were doing, which happens as the kids get older. But he was kind of a troublemaker, wouldn't pay attention, kind of be disruptive sometimes. But one day during VBS, a man knocked on the church door and came in and was like, "Hey, can I talk to one of you guys?" So I went out there, and he was sitting out in his truck. And then I went up to his window. He rolled down his window, and he asked where we were from, what exactly we're here for and what we're doing. And he's just told me thank you because his kid, the boy that, well, his kid was the boy that hadn't been paying attention, the older kid. But he said, "My boy has been at home singing your VBS songs." And so, even though he wasn't paying attention, he was being disruptive, he was still enjoying what was happening. And then, so the guy in the truck was like, "Man, this stuff," talking about Jesus, he's like, "This stuff is forever." And he also, on top of that, gave a very large donation to the ministry, which was crazy. That's nothing like that has ever happened before. It actually happened at 2 different occasions throughout the summer. But yeah, so it was cool to see God working. So many times we saw God working when we didn't even realize it, and and we did see God working everywhere. But He was working like everywhere, but even when we didn't see it.
So on the weekends we would stay in Naknek, like I said, where Jeremy and Lacey Kroll and Malachi were, and Pastor Jeff and Jane and their kids. And it was super fun to interact with them. They do so much in Naknek and other places too, because Jeremy flies his plane everywhere. And throughout the summer, every week there was a new team that would come through. Sometimes like 15 people, sometimes less. But they were so needed in Naknek and so welcomed at the net. And they went to South Naknek to fix up the church, which was unfinished. It was just, everyone really appreciated them, and they all had an amazing time. When you go there, it's a life-changing experience. You can talk to different people who went, but I saw how easy it was to do, because they would just come down for a week. There's housing for them, super nice housing, and I could see how much it helped there, and it was a really cool thing to experience.
So each week we would, we'd fly into the village, and Jeremy would come pick us up on Friday. And then on Sundays as well, we would fly into a village for church after church in Naknek. And during the summer, about halfway through the summer, the Cherokee 6, so the big 6-seater plane that we had, it broke down. And that was actually out of commission. Man, it's about 3 weeks it was out. And so we only had one plane, a 4-seater plane. And during that time, it was really cool to see people that aren't technically part of the ministry in Alaska, helping out, getting us to where we need to go. And so whether there's a volunteer that was up there from Beulah, North Dakota, there was a cop in town who has his own plane, because all cops have their own planes. He helped fly us to and fro, and then a member from the church helped fly us. And even when we first got out there to Naknek in the summer, it was just a random Alaska Airlines pilot that hooked us up with a ride. And so it's just super cool to see the community and really the body of Christ working together in that aspect. And honestly, that was really the story of the summer, was the body of Christ. Everyone, from the missionaries to the volunteers, us as a VBS team, Brady and Tommy, the radio guys, it was just like a collective effort to I guess, do God's work up there in Alaska. And that goes even farther back to you guys for praying for us and supporting us too.
Mm-hmm.
Being in Alaska is an experience like no other. Like, you can't even imagine it. And, you know, Brady's making a couple videos and I made a video, and I mean, we're telling about you this stuff right now. But really, you have to go if you really want to know what it's like. And it's nothing like I've ever experienced before. I mean, the ministry aspect of it and the culture aspect of it. But it is a crazy experience. If I use one word to describe it to people, it's very fulfilling. Because I look back at it, and we had 92 kids over 6 weeks, and each village had about 100 to 150 people in it. And so you multiply that by 6, and you get about 900 people. And so you think about it, 92 kids in a total village of 900 people. So that's a lot of kids when you look at that ratio-wise. Like, imagine 120 kids coming to VBS at Calvary. I know you guys had a lot this year, which is great, but it's crazy. So how much people enjoy it, and all the kids that came. And so God was really working. And so if we didn't do that this summer, I can't imagine those 92 kids, they wouldn't have got to hear about Jesus. Mm-hmm. And so that's very fulfilling. It's like, yes, God, thank you for sending us to tell those kids about Jesus. And, you know, through that, their parents too. There were many opportunities to, I guess, to impact the parents, like the story I shared earlier. But so one thing that I really learned throughout the whole thing was it's not about me. It's not about us. It's about God's work, because I went up there. I'm a very relational person, I guess. I like to get to know people. And that's why I wanted to do a longer missions trip. And so we did, you know, it was 6-7 weeks, but we were only in each village for 1 week. But going up there, I really realized it's not about me, it's what God wanted me to do, because this has been an ongoing ministry in these villages, for most of them, for 4 years now. And we can see, like Marley mentioned earlier, the trust that's being built. And, you know, that's, they might not even remember me, you know, next year. They might not even remember me right now, but they will remember God. Mm-hmm. They will remember Jesus, because it's been 4 years now. They're starting to trust us. They're starting to trust the ministry, and they know that who we're all about, and that is Jesus. Mm-hmm. And so that it's not about me. It's about God. All right. So again, we wish we could have been there with you today, but hopefully we will be up there sometime soon and can maybe share with you guys a little more. So bye, and have fun listening to Brady.